Hello, ladies and gentlemen, Tevaron here, and welcome back to a first look at Torment Tides of Numenera. We have stepped through the dark mirror that was apparently part of our mind into what looks like a laboratory of sorts that may also be part of our mind. I'm not sure. Let's go ahead and pick up where we left off. The pinprick of light you followed in the dark passage suddenly opens wide. There was no sense of transition. One step you were in the dark, the next you were here. You're in some kind of mystic laboratory. Machines gleam all around you. Seemingly incomprehensible data swirling around them like motes of light. 5 large tanks stand out, each one containing a different, shadowy form. None of them human. A spectral figure stands in front of you. The Spectre. Hello, Mr. Green Man. Everything about the Spectre seems dreamlike. He is a hazy silhouette of green glass smoke, wearing stylish, well-cut clothes. His jade eyes are fixed on you. His handsome, bearded face seems hauntingly familiar, though, to the best of your recollection, you've never seen him before. He claps you warmly on the shoulders. The Spectre. Skist, you've made it. I think skist is an oath. Listen, I know you've got a dozen questions, but we're not through the worst yet. If you want to survive, you have to attune yourself. It's a process that, well, it's hard to explain, but I'll walk you through it. Okay. Why are we in a hurry? The fall didn't kill you, right? But there's something else after us. Something way more deadly than a high-velocity fall to the ground, if you can believe that. You have to wake up so we can stop it, or at least get away from it. Okay. So, who are you? You might call me a composite. Like a mishmash of your thoughts and memories and everything. I remember some things that you don't. Just like you know some things I don't remember. You made me when you hit the ground. Of course you didn't mean to make me, but here I am. Okay. So, what's after us? It's called the Sorrow. Look, can we talk about that later? The attunement is important for both of us. Alright, one more question. Earlier did you say we were in my mind? I don't know what else to call it. This isn't the real world, obviously, but everything you do here seems to change things. I think you can change the real world too, but you'll have to get there to find out. Alright, so I'm not dead, so I'm not even going to ask that. Let's see how we get attuned. You see all those tanks in here? Each one's got a creature in it that's attuned to one of the tides. You need to attune to them, and that'll attune you to each tide. I tried it myself while I was waiting for you, but I couldn't do anything except watch them. I suppose that means that this is your show. They're in stasis, in a kind of temporal loop. I think all you need to do is join them. Hook your mind up with theirs and make a decision for them that ends the loop. You should do what you want, by the way, not what they want. That's the whole point of this thing, to define you. Alright, so what are the tides? That's a jar of memory ants you're opening there. The tides are a force, alright? Like gravity or magnetism or something, except they respond to people's actions. There are 5 of them, just like the 5 creatures here. Let's see. There's the blue tide, and that's about reason and wisdom and stuff. Red responds to passion and action. Indigo, that one's about community and the greater good. And then gold is like an individual good, like compassion and sacrifice. There was one more, silver. That one's about admiration and power, changing the world. Look, you don't need to know all this to make it work. Just do what comes naturally and you'll be fine. We'll be fine. Okay. Alright, I guess I'm ready. Guess we can start here. This tank contains a humanoid with a skull-like head. A name arises from your inherited memories. This is a Nevagian, or Nevagian, I'm not sure if the J's Scandinavian or not, a creature of relentless, overpowering curiosity. Tendrils of luminescent data snake from the tank and stream into your temples. The room fades in flaring stripes as you enter the mind of the creature in this tank and see what it sees. The Nevagian is in a dark cave, listening intently to a stone head embedded in the wall before it. I destroyed ancient Quara, the head murmurs. I sought words of destruction sealed in a forbidden tome. I could not help it, but once known, the words spoke themselves to the 8 rulers of Quara, turning them on each other. Great Quara melted like wax in the wars that followed, but I, imprisoned, could not burn with it. Even now, the words wish to be spoken. The Nevagian leans forward hungrily. So what will you do? Indulge the curiosity and allow it to learn everything? Force it to kill the buried scholar for what it did? Instruct it to silence the scholar to keep the words from being spoken? Encourage him to free the scholar from his prison. He is only a knowledge seeker after all. Encourage it to learn the words so it can use their power over others. I'm going to lead towards curiosity and wisdom, and we're going to indulge the curiosity. The helpless scholar says 8 beautiful alien words that strike the Nevagian's mind, fastening to its thoughts like squirming, thorn-covered vines. Concentrating through the pain, the Nevagian asks the weeping scholar. The Nevagian asks the weeping scholar the first of many questions about lost Quara. Later, the Nevagian leaves the cave, and the words bulging within it. Pleased that it has discovered such interesting secrets, warmth spreads through you, aligning tidal channels in your mind. Back in the strange laboratory, 5 hulking, smoky creatures bound onto the platform, sucking at the air with crackling snarls. The sour dread in your gut recognizes them for what they are. Hands of the being that hunted you while you regained your memories. Fragments of the sorrow. 4 of them lunge into the machines connected to the remaining tanks, wreaking chaos on their delicate innards. The 5th fragment focuses its eyeless gaze on you and your ally. Alright, so we're being attacked. Oh no, it's found us. The sorrow is here. Oh. So they're attacking the controls for the other tanks, I think it said, and that's what it appears is happening. But one of them doesn't. We got spectral armor. They're just fragments. We've got to get them out of those control panels before you can attune. Here, this should protect you. I'll be fine. Okay. Alright, there's that one. So, whose turn is it? I can't use the tanks, but I can keep these monsters off of you. Better me than you, I guess. Let's say it's the Spectre's turn. Okay, so he's got attacks, it looks like. He can heal himself. He can stun all enemies in a medium cone. And he can mark them to make them attack him for 3 rounds. Make one of them attack him for 3 rounds. Well, there's only one to deal with right now. So let's stun it, I suppose. Oh, it knocked it way back here, too. Oh, we can move. Alright, so we've got action and movement within a turn. That's good to know. So it's our other person's turn, the one we started with. Do we need... I guess we need to try to get this stuff out of here. Yeah, come down here. A choking sound comes from within this machine. Inside the casing are two deflated air bladders, side by side, and a matted nest of cords and tubes. It is not immediately apparent where the sorrow fragment is, or how it is stopping the airflow to the nearby creature's tank. So we can figure out how... Okay, so let's do that then. Let's try to make it easier. Success. The hoses lead from the bladders down through a snarled nest of wires. A faint clicking sound comes from the nest. Behind the wires there is a hexagonal cylinder jammed in place. It is filled with tiny rafts of drifting clouds, enveloped in nets of bruised black lightning, the same color as the sorrow fragments. With a flicker of a finger, the cylinder spins, the machine coughs, and air flows freely into the creature's tank. The creature should be calm enough to connect with now. Good. The oily beast lunges from this machine with a crackling growl and hungry eyes. So we got a tidal capacitor. Alright. Okay, so as we fix these tanks, we're going to get more and more of these shadow creatures coming after us. And it's charging up for something. Let's move here and stun this one. Or can we not? Oh, we did it. Okay, just a little bit of lag there. Alright, so it's the cast-off's turn. Let's see if we can interact with this tank. At first, this tank appears to contain a dense, jumbled mass of sharp-edged onyx. It is only when a cluster of eyes flickers beneath a slick membrane that you realize you are looking upon the oily carapace of a huge insect. And I cannot pronounce that to save my life. I'll give it a try. A Natchlisk. Your memory whispers, compressed into a tiny space. A flood of bubbles rises from the bottom of the tank, bearing you away from the dangers of this place into the depths of the creature's mind. Your young host clutches a steaming haunch of meat and crouches with the other hunters, shivering with outrage. Like the rest of the tribe, she is starving, and the pack elder does not care. Flexing scarred talons, the elder unfolds above them and demands that its hunters turn over all their kills again to honor him. Your host makes a sound like grinding glass at the back of her throat. The pack will not turn on its elder unless someone rises first. Her legs flex beneath her. What will you do? Convince her to reason with the pack elder? Goad them into attacking? Allow her to rally the pack? Tell her to give the meat to the elder? No, we're not going to do that. Make it confront and intimidate the elder. For me, it's either reason with the elder or allow it to rally the pack against the elder. And we chose that we're a smooth talker, so I think we're going to rally the pack. So let's do that. The hunter pours her outrage into her language ducts, and she rises, wearing her scent like a cloak. Her pheromones sing of injustice, of starvation, of disastrous pride of the elder, and the slow death of the pack. They breathe her arguments in, absorbing them, and flinch, as if waking from a nightmare. Then, as one, the pack streams at the elder and tears him to shrieking pieces. You feel the tides embrace and flow through you. You lean against a tank to catch your breath. Eyeing the remaining creatures in the tanks, you will need to be swift to avoid the sorrow fragments hunting for you. Okay, I thought we might have some movement left, but no. So that one's charging up now. That one's getting over its stun. What is this thing? We can teleport? Will that take us up here? Let's see. Oh, I thought we were the wrong person there. I messed up. But that's fine. We'll move him up to guard us. because I'm going to move my other person up there as well. Okay, teleport. Now, hopefully these things can't go through that as well. Let's get over here. Can we interact with this? Okay, so we moved too far to use our action, so we'll leave and wait for next turn. Wow, that thing moved a long way and hit us. Okay, so it's the Spectre's turn. It just ran right by him. Well, can this one get up there? It's a lot farther away. Let's move here, and we'll stun the thing again. Hopefully that won't hit us. It didn't. Alright. So now we can interact with this and move the spinning disc and pull the fragment out of the machine. Speed. We'll do that. And make it easier, please. Success. Beneath the spinning disc, the saboteur's body roils, recoiling at the touch. Suddenly it pours out of the machine in a stream of glistening black. The disc falls back into place with a satisfying click, and the whirlpool in the nearby tank dissolves. The creature should be calm enough to connect with now, okay? The sorrow fragment coalesces with a baleful, eyeless gaze. Gained data tunneler. Alright. Can we use these things we're gaining? Oh, were we still close enough to do this? No, unavailable action already used. Well, unavailable action. So we can use those, I guess, if it's the first thing we do in a turn. Well, let's go ahead and get, like, right here. Hopefully that one can't reach us this turn. Okay, so it can get to us but not actually do anything. That one, however, looks like it can. It's charging up. Alright, the Spectre's turn. Can I get to where I can hit multiple of these things at once? Blast. Looks like I may be able to hit all three of them at once. Let's try. Yes. That is quite good. Alright, so it's our turn here. Can we use this? Removes the sorrow fragment charge up fatal. I don't know that we need to do that. What does this one do? Target point on the ground. Oh, it's a teleporter. Okay, so we may use that next time. Go ahead and do this. Tiny currents coil over the hulking creature in this tank, stirring the brown and silver fur on its muscular forelimbs. Curving tusks curl away from its jaw, and it is these that remind you what these creatures are called. It is a tusked. I don't know why I'm having such trouble saying that. This is a tusked Grorthos. Though, as far as you remember, there is no such thing as a tuskless Grorthos. The currents speed up, whirling around the creature. Suddenly you are drawn through the eye of the whirlpool into the creature's mind. Your host and a rival pack leader tumble down a snowy cliff face, biting and clawing each other. They strike a ledge of transparent ice and roll apart, growling. Far above, their packs hoot in excitement. Cracks spiral out from their paws. Both leaders tense. The ground is over a kilometer below, but the first leader to teleport to safety will lose the duel, and their pack. Your host bares his teeth. He will ensure his rival is dead to demonstrate his superiority, even if he too dies. Dies too, as they've written it there. What will you do? So, make them return to safety. Convince them to finish off the enemy as quickly as possible and then teleport to safety. Urge the host to compromise. If both of them fall, then two packs will be leaderless. Encourage your host to save his rival, ensuring at least one leader survives, or display your superiority to the packs at any cost. Well, let's convince him to finish off his enemy quickly. The tusked Gorthos bounds at his rival, his blood singing with the strength of your command, and impales his rival with his tusks and tosses the body over the edge. Your host chortles to himself when suddenly the ledge snaps. He falls into the abyss after his rival, teleporting himself to the top of the cliff at the last second, both packs cheering his victory. The tides swell around you, carrying you with them. After returning to your own body, a dull heat settles in your gut, and an oily haze crowds your vision. You know that the sorrow has focused its dire attention directly on you. The remainder of the sorrow fragments spill from the devices they were infesting and join the hunt. Oh, so now it's not one at a time, they're all coming out at once. So there's 1, 2. How many more are there? 3? I think there should be... No, there's just 2 more. Alright. So, the Spectre says, skist. They're all coming out. Quick, go straight to the other tanks. Well, I will try. I don't think I can use this thing now. No. So, try to remember. I've done this one. This was the first one I did, and I did this. So there's only 2 more that I need to do. This one and this one. So let's move. Let's try to draw them down here, and then maybe I can teleport past them. Hopefully our Spectre can hold them at bay. Okay, so those are recovering from being stunned. Where's this one going? There. Expect the other one. No, he's coming around towards the Spectre there. Alright, so let's get him where I think green's as far as you can go and still use an action. So let's go there. Can we hit this guy with a blast? We can. So let's go ahead. No, let's do the mark and make it come after him. Alright. So hopefully we can get these things bunched up. And we'll see if we can teleport to right here. That helps. Maybe we can get these things bunched up in one place and be able to chain stun them. Oh, can we still get to this? Oh, action already used. Okay. That's fine. We'll get right up against it. That'll be that. These others can move since they've recovered from their stun. Our Spectre is probably going to get attacked at least once here. Probably twice. I think there's 2 that can reach him and attack. No, it looks like there's maybe 3 that can reach him and still attack. At least we have seen... That one's charging up though, so that's good. At least it seems we have succeeded in getting them to bunch up a bit, at least. Alright, so that one I probably can't get to. Let's go ahead and go here. See if we can hit a bunch of these at once with a stun. We can hit 3 of them right there, it looks like. And only 2 if we do that. So let's hit these 3. I hope that hits all 3 of them. Yeah, there we go. I don't think I hit any of them. That's bad. They were too close to the edge there. That's not good at all. This tank contains 2 crystal shards in a sparkling liquid. Memory stirs, pushing aside thoughts of pursuing beasts. You remember climbing a floating mountain of shining rock. Living crystalline formations wandered the wastes far below, their many legs tracing intricate patterns in the glittering sand. This being is one of those. Aquishimus, I guess. Its body is in liquid form, however. The shards, its heart and brain, begin vibrating together, filling your vision with what it sees. You sink into the simple, sea-like mind of the Quishimus as it roams the jagged wastes, feeling its raw and aching need to create and recreate. It moves by birthing new legs from the death of old ones. It traces glorious whirls in the glittering sand before erasing them into even more complicated designs. Then, chaos. A hunter's basilisk slug smashes through its brain. Thoughts become splinters, melting. You feel its dying wish to etch one last design on the sand beneath it. That's sad. Make it study the hunter and try to understand him. Allow the creature to finish its work before it dies. Encourage the Quishamus to warn the other creatures in the area. Force the creature to forego its art in order to stop the hunter from killing others. Or inspire it to etch its art on the hunter in revenge. That sounds awesome. The strange thought drifts through the Quishamus's disintegrating mind, intriguing and repulsing it in equal measure as light fades from its world. Yeah, it's a little bit of a typo. That's expected in beta. As light fades from its world, the creature whips a casual, impossibly sharp spine across the approaching hunter's face. The human recoils, shrieking and clasping his face. Blood pours from between his fingers, pooling in the Quishamus's intricate designs. You feel yourself melting into the channels carved by the tides. You lean against the tank to catch your breath, eyeing the remaining creatures in the tanks. You will need to be swift to avoid the sorrow fragments hunting for you. Yeah, especially since I screwed up with my specter there. This is the last one. Let's get right up next to it. Try to put it between us and the rest of those shadow fragments. Alright. Okay. I'm glad they're wasting time with these charge ups instead of attacking. Alright. The rest of you guys charge up too, please. I would very much appreciate that. Alright. Good job, guys. Keep that charge up going. That one finished. Is that one going to charge up too? Yep. Yay. Alright, so should be able to get like right here and hit a bunch of them. Maybe all of them. All but one. Okay. I'm very satisfied with that. Okay, let's interact with this last tank. The radiant humanoid within this tank, a fire white, your memory whispers, stands calf deep in a pool of water, motionless. As near as you can tell, it is unconscious, but its eyes, slivers of even brighter light, are barely visible. They pulse once, and its mind unfurls before you like a cloud of flame, momentarily carrying you from the chamber and the creatures pursuing you. Two gaunt, dehydrated fire whites trudge under an ember-flecked sky, across a charred plain studded with the towering bones of monsters. In the shadow of a mountainous ribcage, the leading white stumbles to its knees, arm tendrils deliriously seeking water in the ash and dust. The other white, your host, is only slightly stronger and wishes to give its power and life to the other so that it can reach the river a kilometer away. What do you do? Inspire it to study the situation and environment for an alternative. Save your host by forcing it to drain its companion. Convince the white to wound and not sacrifice itself to give both a chance. Permit the white to sacrifice itself, or encourage the white that its companion should be the one to make the sacrifice. Let's look for an alternate solution. An unfamiliar desire flickers into life in the white's mind. Curiosity. It kneels, sending flaming tendrils into the ashen soil, searching for something, anything that will save its companion and itself, if that's possible. And there, far below the surface, ancient creatures sleep. Without a thought, the fire white takes their life and restores itself and its companion. The two rise together and set off across the plain. Heat envelops you, aligning you to the tides. That's a good outcome. That was the last of the creatures. You steel yourself for the deadly race to the tank at the back of the room. The one that's glowing up there? Guess so, since it's centered on it. The Spectre said, "That's it. See those tanks at the top of the platform? Get to the glowing one, quick." Okay. There. That's as far as we can go this turn. We've already used an action, so... And 4 of these guys are recovering from being stunned. So I think we're going to get out of this. Do we need to bring our Spectre up there too, though? He got hurt. Let's have him run to, say, right here. Can't use an action this turn because that's a yellow move. Alright, let's interact, shall we? Scintillating color writhes along the facets of the crystalline chamber. It seems ready for you to enter. Okay. Let's enter then. Place your hand on the surface of the tank. As soon as your hand touches the glass, a surge of energy flows into your body. The power from each of the 5 tidal creatures and the choices you made. As hard as you try, you cannot contain the massive wave of power. Try to direct it at the fragments. A burst of force surges through your arm, into your head and out. You direct it at the sorrow fragments, destroying some, sending others screeching in pain, fleeing the laboratory as fast as they can. Good, 40 experience. Thought they were fleeing. Oh, okay. I thought they were coming after us. It said they were fleeing. I guess they are. More and more waves flow through you, overwhelming you. Then the tide turns. The energy is no longer pushing, but pulling. It draws you inexorably toward the chamber. Then somehow it yanks you through the glass, filtering your essence like a psychic sieve. A blinding light shines at the end like a tunnel, and then we're gone. Okay, so we got a monk, it looks like, with a canteen. Alright, blue. Once you had 24 words for all its hues, and shades, metaphors to glaives, capes, and courtesans' eyes. Now the sky is just blue. The ground is stone. The man before you fat. Now, all is vague and drab, like the memorialist sees you stopped. And he halts as well. "Let's have a rest then," he says, passing you a bottle of fortified water as he catches his breath. You knew a word for that too. This drink they brew in the Valley of Dead Heroes. Gone. We aren't far from his cenotaph. The fat man wipes his brow. Deep in your pocket, your hand feels for the round tin that holds the worms. Your fingers clutch it tight, and as they do, they brush a piece of paper. What kind of worms? "Are you his shadow?" the memorialist asks abruptly. "Second Vander's, I mean, the one you came to see." Without waiting for a response, he barrels onward. We thought he'd cast his shadows among his own kind. We reasoned that the Tabat gone, his line was lost forever. He stops and flushes more deeply, then hastily with a sign adds, "But shadows fall where they will, and as they will. Second Vanders, Tabat, shadows. They flit around the edges of your mind, escaping your grasp. But the worms, they are well within reach." "Shall we continue, pilgrim?" the memorialist asks. To break the silence, "One more short hike will do it. Your body is ready, but your mind is not." Examine the paper in your pocket. You slip the crisp, neatly folded sheet from your pocket and carefully open it. "I will want the worms, but I will be strong. I will wonder what I have lost, but they will only rob me further. I will endure, and I will build the tower of my intellect anew. Second Vanders will furnish the material. The mind link, not the worms, will be my tool." The mind link. A dead-eyed trader from Hareth sold it for the last of your once great heap of prizes and bounties. Now it's slung from your belt, a hideous mask with the synth tube hanging off it, like some Satoshi tentacle. So the worms are something that we're not supposed to use? Examine the tin. The tin is old and unremarkable, scuffed and dented, but sturdy enough. It opens easily. Inside is a clump of bristly worms, blind and thin, barely moving. Your fingers itch and tremble, your nostrils flare. You no longer know their name, but you know exactly how to use them. Careful not to spill the precious contents, you close the tin and slide it back into your pocket. Snort a worm is one of the options. Let's not do that. Second Vander's Shadows to Bot. The memorialist regards you skeptically, as if he expects to be the butt of a joke. As he looks into your eyes, however, he softens. We live in a world of darkness, Pilgrim, and each of us is just a shadow of one of the great heroes buried here in this valley. But there's a light that shines behind the world. To know it, we shadows must measure ourselves against the heroes who cast us, and thus learn the light that lives beyond. He takes a swig from the canteen. I thought you set out on this pilgrimage to visit the tomb of Second Vanders because you were his shadow, that you wanted to stand before him and find enlightenment. Am I wrong? Are you his shadow or not? Sure, we're his shadow. The memorialist smiles. It's a rare honor to join shadow and hero, and a joy for those of us who shepherd pilgrims through the valley. He gestures to the hilltop toward where you've been hiking. Just over that rise is the monument. As for his tomb, you said that the cenotaph would lead the way. I can't see how, but for the famous puzzle breaker of Sage's Cliffs, I'm sure it will be simple. Your mind might still be clouded, but at least now the form of things has become clearer. Yes, let's go. No snorting worms. As you follow the memorialist up the crumbling path, he carries on about a time when all the roads in the valley were as well paved as the streets of Sage's Cliffs. Then, reaching the hill crest, he falls in reverential silence. When you catch up, you see the sight that awed him. Even for the 1,000th time, a clutch of exquisite monuments, ranging from vast to miniature, from abstract to eerily lifelike. The memorialist points to one of them, a many-sided slab of black stone, and gestures for you to follow. This must be the cenotaph of Second Vanders, Tabat General and would-be world conqueror. Up close, the cenotaph is not so remarkable. Its faces are adorned with gruesome, stylized reliefs depicting the Tabat and their Dracolith mounts, trampling the corpses of their foes. Neat geometric glyphs encircle the panels. Like the images themselves, they are embossed rather than engraved. The memorialist clears his throat. Of course, Second Vanders isn't here. Like the other heroes, his body is in one of the cells in the catacombs beneath us. He nods at the monument. This is its own sort of shadow. All memorials are. As your guide mumbles something about the difference between expression, impression, and reality, your attention returns to the cenotaph itself. Yes, let's examine the images. No doubt some historian could tell the tale behind each panel. What doomed the race the Tabat annihilated here? What grand battle was waged here? But to you, they're just an ugly blur that tugs at shameful memories without ever quite dragging them to the surface. This is not the knowledge you came for. On one side of the cenotaph, there is something else. An obscene picture, crudely etched rather than raised, its edges scorched black. The memorialist clears his throat awkwardly. A graffito from just after the Tabat were beaten, carved with a plasma torch by a bitter nano. He coughs again. The visual pun on Black 3 must be obvious. Sadly, we can't possibly fix the damage. Alright, study the glyphs. What seemed at first individual glyphs are far more complex, smaller symbols assembled into larger patterns, linked into chains, twined and twisted into knots. Never a tangle or ramble. It is more mathematical or scientific notion than language. Running your fingers across the glyphs, You see that they shine briefly under your touch, then fade. Perhaps there is a formula here to be solved, a structure, a higher hidden order to be found. Perhaps here you could catch glimmers of the Tebot's military mastery, but the sieve of your mind holds nothing, and any secrets slip right through. As you struggle to decipher the symbols, the memorialist hurries over. This one means war, he says, illuminating a cluster repeated endlessly on the cenotaph. This one, death. He picks out others and shows how the ideogram for soldier weaves into warband, which can in turn mesh into column or army. Excitement grows in his voice as he leads you to another panel and shows you the unique markings that compose the pattern for underspine. A high council, we think, or God. He notes what seems to be a structure to the writing, a pattern within the pattern. Could it be a puzzle to open the way to second Vanders, he asks expectantly. You have no answer for his hopes. Alright, study the basin. Carved into the cenotaph's plinth is a wide, shallow bowl, perfectly smooth, perfectly ovoid. In its center is a small drain that runs into the monument. Around its rim is a geometric pattern, simple and composed of a single recurrent shape. You recognize the symbol, blood, of course. It could be nothing else. Your guide keeps back from the basin as you examine it, and shares no thoughts. Okay. Try to find the correct sequence. You trick yourself into thinking that you can crack whatever code the stone holds, but neither logic nor luck makes any headway. The glyphs shine and fade, but nothing happens. Given the endless combinations, not even the persistence you had of old could break through this lock. Take another look. War, blood, battle, death. These symbols are graven in your mind just as they are on the cenotaph, but you can squeeze no more meaning from memory than you can from the stone. Are we going to have to snort a worm? I don't want to kill this guy. Let's spill some of our blood into the basin. Beneath your guide's worried gaze, you nick your wrist and drizzle some blood into the bowl. Nothing comes of it. Whatever flows through your veins will not slake the stone's thirst. Oh, after we've bled, let's try to do the glyphs again. Once again, you guess at a possible series of glyphs that might provoke some reaction from the cenotaph. If there is a key, you do not find it. Alright, let's snort a worm. Gripping a grub between two fingers, you slip it into your nostril and breathe as deeply as you can. The worm works with you, eager to reach its meal. You feel it squirm the last stretch, then pain like a knife stabs your brain, and you know the worm is feeding, eating gray matter and pissing neurostimulants, letting your mind reconquer the vast territories it has lost. That is horrifying. Nemematides, that's what they're called, not worms, and the cerulean, that's the sky's color, not blue. The rush of understanding overwhelms you. You read the world's unwritten words, devise stratagems, unravel mysteries. Your brain races with the speed brought on by the worm's piss, and through your thoughts run the Tebot symbols, spinning, twisting, combining, and dividing. There is a meaning here, tangled amid the knotted glyphs, and your mind is unraveling it, surely, but not fast enough. Your thoughts become painfully, shamefully slow, and the puzzle you felt so close to breaking now seems impregnable. Another worm, just one more in your mind, honed like a sword, will slice through the skeins. You're sure of it. So sure of it, you find yourself sniffing in anticipation, a predator on the scent. Alright then. Another worm in the cenotaph's puzzle crumbles before you. It seems so simple now, so obvious. A prayer woven within the story, a prayer of submission to the truth of war, and blood, and death. You need but touch the glyphs, and the way will open before you. Alright, let's do it then. Your fingers race across the glyphs, which now do not fade as you progress. Rather, with each touch, they glow brighter and brighter. You can hear the excited gasp from your guide as you reach the last side of the cenotaph. With a flourish, you press the final symbols. The skein ends in war, of course. Blue light pours forth from the cenotaph, forming a kind of shimmering portal. Through it, you see hints of a room. His tomb, whispers the memorialist. A smile sneaks into your face as you see the way before you. but that way we'll have to wait for the next video, friends. I do hope you've enjoyed this look at Torment, Tides of Numenera. Please join me again for the next video I put out. If you've liked this one, please leave a like below. It really does help the channel. Consider subscribing to be notified when I upload new content. And until next time, be excellent to each other.